Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of The Final Whistle here on the Final Whistle Network. Hit that like, subscribe button. You see, we modernizing, upgrading everything here on our show. Listen, I got my brothers with me, our Avengers. We got a lot of action-packed topics to discuss tonight. Recruiting, talking about some defensive position groups, transfer portal guys. But it's going to be a great show. So get in that comment section. If you're coming from Twitter, Facebook, wherever, get in that comment section. You know, we have a Q&A at the end. And if you got a great comment like Ben Edwards, we're usually going to highlight it. So, listen, I mentioned the Avengers. Let's go around the horn and check on these guys. To my immediate left, our lead recruiting analyst, who's going to give us some good advice or, good news regarding some recruits. The one and only Dan James. How are you today, Dan? You're on mute.
What's up, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Final whistle time. Looking forward to a very eventful and action-packed, information-filled show.
I am excited too.
Chris, where the Chris doing? Shadow boxing.
Shouts out to Chris. Speaking of Chris James, let's shout out your other brother, Dan's big brother, aka Final Whistle Dan. Chris James. How are you?
AKA New Saybot.
Final Whistle, Chris. But I'm still the better looking brother, even though I'm younger and older at the same time. But just had a birthday, so I feel a year older, Lou. You know what I'm saying? I might not be that 4'3" no more, Matt, but you know what I'm saying. But I can run me a little post corner dig action. I can do a little something.
Okay.
This is probably the best you ever looked on screen.
Hey, you must got some new prescription glasses today or something, because you finally can see that I'm the better looking brother.
Ooh, shots fired. Listen,
empty in the clip.
Empty in the clip. So, and ladies and gentlemen, speaking of empty in the clip, the man who's got plenty of clips to unload and shoot out there, my main man, the one and only Luscion Graves. Lou.
Now pause. I'm not out here emptying Diddy type clips. We're talking clips, video clips, y'all. Video clips. You understand, guys? I'm Lucia Graves. I'm excited to be here with the Avengers. We got an exciting show to get into tonight. Got some new stuff to show you guys, so bear with us. We might get a little rowdy tonight because there's 4 of us, and the James brothers look like they're ready to get it on. So, Matt, take it away.
Hey, I'm gonna take it away. But before we get it started, I like to talk about one of our main sponsors, Limestone Inc. If you're looking to take your lawn away or upgrade your lawn with some really good sandstone, limestone, all the landscaping needs that you need for your yard, your house, to have one of the best looking yards in your neighborhood, wherever, go to realrockstone.com. at realrockstone.com and get your stone needs to have that really good looking yard that enhanced by some good stones. So shouts out to realrockstone.com. So guys, let's get to our first topic. Bama's transfer portal MVP. So, Alabama's got a whole slew of portals. The linebacker, Hill Green from Colorado, Cameron Calhoun. Who else we got? We got
Brody Dalton,
Kelby Collins, a couple tight ends. It's going to be interesting to see the running back. Washington,
yeah,
Isaiah Horton. The list goes on and on. So I'm interested to see who you think's Bama transfer portal MVP. We might as well get it out the way before Chris jumps back on, because he's going to list this year's transfer portal players, next year's transfer portal. He's got a whole list.
2032 transfer portal players.
Yeah, 2032. So I want to get your thoughts. Who you think is going to be the Bama's transfer portal MVP? And I think I know where Dan James is going to go with this one. If it's a guy that I really like, I'm interested to hear his thoughts. So Dan, kick us off.
Oh, definitely. Well, you're going to give me a layup. I'm going to go with the easy one. And I think the most obvious one, I'm going to say Isaiah Horton.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, without a doubt. He brings experience. He's a possession type receiver. I think he brings the physicality to be able to play in the SEC. He's going to be prove to be a huge pickup for the University of Alabama.
I agree. And another thing about Isaiah Horton, he's a route running specialist. I mean, his tape, I haven't seen a guy who really can just, obviously Ryan Williams is just ultra athletic, but this guy can generate separation in the route tree, running similar, just basic routes. So that's something I'm really excited with him being an addition to this offense. I think he's going to be a huge asset as far as giving defensive spits on how to defend Alabama with Ryan Grubb at the helm as the offensive coordinator. I'm so excited. Lou, I'm interested to get your thoughts on who do you think is going to be the MVP of the portal for this year's team?
Now, I know everybody thinks I'm going to go a certain way, and you guys think I should go a certain way, but I'm not going to go that way. Okay. I'm going to go to the position that I think is most important that we replace. I think this position is not only key to Bama's offense, but is key to the season's success. Give me Cam Deubberry of the offensive line transfer, because replacing Tyler Booker is no short hill of a mountain. In doing that, you bring a guy in that has SEC experience, he's got heavy hands, and he's got character, and he's mean on the field. He's got an ability to flip a switch. Now, obviously, there's some other guys that are amazing athletes. I wanted to give some other people some opportunity, but I thought Cam Deubberry is in a position to be highlighted and actually project himself into the first two rounds in next year's NFL draft.
Wow. I think that is spot on, Lou. A name that I didn't even think of, and you're gonna put him at the right tackle position. Is that correct, or left? I mean, right? Left guard. Okay, left guard. Okay, so you got Parker, Deubberry, Proctor on that left side. That's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good. Chris, before we give it to you, we mentioned two names that we're excited about regarding who they think are going to be transfer portal MVP. And Dan, your brother, went with Isaiah Horton, the guy I'm really high on. I just talked about his route, just being able to run routes, get that separation. And Lou mentioned Cam Deubberry have been at the left guard. Chris, before we get your MVP, can you just expound on Isaiah Horton and Cam Deubberry? What things you like about these guys?
Well, the thing I like about, and those were my two answers too, but the thing that I like about Isaiah Horton is the fact that how great of a route runner he is. Like he's fluid to be so tall. He's not one of those stiff receivers. He's very fluid. Like I saw Miami use him in motion, and kind of run almost similar to a whip route. Like you come in motion, tight motion, and then you get back in the flats real quick. Like he has some short burst quickness to him. And when those contested one-on-one balls, he goes and gets them, man. I saw a couple where it's 2 years with Miami. I saw a couple when he hit him with a hitch and go downfield, and just made some plays, man. That guy's a playmaker, man. He's gonna be a huge addition to our wide receiver room. I feel like he's a future Sunday guy that's gonna play on Sundays, and anytime you get one of those type of guys, that immediately boosts your wide receiver room. And I like Cam Deubberry too, because when Dan took Horton and Lou took, so that lets you know we all are on the same page thinking wise, because Cam Deubberry is very athletic, man. I think that he's gonna be solid at left guard for us. I think he's gonna be solid because his experience. He's already experienced. He's not a rookie. Do I expect Tyler Booker type results? No, but because Tyler Booker, man, he was one of a kind. But I expect him to be more than serviceable. I expect him to be really good. But if I had another one, if I had to pick not those two, I think it's going to be one of those two transfer tight ends. Because as you saw in the spring, we were depleted, man. And to bring in two guys, one for Troy, and the other guy, where he came from, Dan, was it Michigan? Where he came from? The other tight
West Virginia, correct?
West Virginia. Yeah, and to bring two guys in that have game experience. Like, one thing about it, man, when you're setting that, when you're blocking on the edge like that, experience matters, man, because you don't want to, as good as Kayla Edwards is, those type of guys, you don't really want to have to depend on those guys to kind of go against those big old 280-pound SEC defensive end. You know what I'm saying? As a freshman right out of high school. So you got some guys that's been in college weight room, college strength conditioning program that are going to be able to add to what Quavers brings. Quavers is a heck of a receiver, man, and receiving option. And now Danny Lewis has somebody to push him, you know, and it's not something that's just going to be handed to him. So I think that may have been the biggest upgrade we had this offseason was the tight end room position by bringing in those guys who we brought in since the spring.
Any other names, Lou?
Yep.
You got your hand up. Any names you want to add and just talk about these, elaborate on these guys?
All right. I know I am not the only one that has, before last season, been praying to the football gods, Nick Saban, Bear Bryant, all of them, to bring us a linebacker that hits somebody in the face, that absolutely just smears somebody. And they delivered last year in Jahad Campbell. But unfortunately for us, he went on to the NFL league. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles getting richer with that pick. But in the transfer portal, Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Morgan picked out an absolute headhunter in Nikai Hill-Green. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When Alabama has a rotation of hard-ass hitting linebackers, pause, no Diddy, that defense is going to become so elite in being able to stop the run, cover receivers, knock a tight end on his ass when he thinks he's going to get that free little sweep that we've been giving up the last couple seasons over the middle. That shit is not going to happen this year, especially while Nikai Hill-Green is going to be patrolling them waters, especially having a good, solid rotation with Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson. And I'm not even going to throw it out there, but we might even have a mix of some other guys in there. We don't know. Summer and fall camp, but I'm saying I like where Nikai Hill-Green's game is. He is a turnover animal, and he actually likes to hit people and put his foot in the ground and put somebody on their freaking ass.
Caden Jones is going to be a guy, too, I think is going to end up in that mix, too, Luke. The 6'4" long guy that can cover in space and that's not scared of contact. I think our linebacker room, like, I agree with Lou, is going to.
He's very similar to Jahad Campbell. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, we left one guy off, though, and he's Lou's favorite.
Who?
He's a cornerback.
Calhoun?
Yes, sir. That's Lou's boy.
Let's talk about Cam.
I was going to let the DB talk about him.
Yeah. Go, Chris.
Well, Calhoun, man, he instantly brings what's the word I'm looking for? I say closure. Like lets you know that he brings that we're full in the secondary. We're full at corner. Like going into last year, it was a lot of question marks. You remember? Going into last year, it was a lot of question marks about that cornerback position. So Money Jackson hadn't played a lot of ball. He had been battling injuries. He was hurt for a good part of his high school career and when he first got to USC. So he had limited, footage. The other corner, he was a kid coming out of high school. So it was like, hey man, you know what everybody was kind of like just watching closely, and they performed like I think one of the better cornerback tandems in college football, and it's arguably just those two, even without Calhoun, one of the top 5 tandems in the country. Now you add Calhoun, and I don't think that no other team has a top 3 better than those 3 in college football. So he brings confidence, he brings experience, yes, and he brings competition. The number one thing you want in fall camp is competition, because that elevates the play of everybody in that room. You know, Matt, like when you first got to Bama, when you had Tree Luke and Dre Fulgham and all those guys in that receiving room, like man, they made each other better, man. It's like whenever you have competition in the room, it keeps guys on their toes. There's no room for complacency, because if you would have had guys that are returning starters, new backups, nobody to push them, I think that by Calhoun being there, Lou, I think that's gonna make Money and Brown better. Just by him being there.
Now, Chris, I'm glad you said all that, but you left out one thing that Kane Womack has highlighted about Cameron Calhoun. And this is no offense to our other 2 DBs that hail from modern day. Them 2 is probably the top 2 cornerbacks in the nation. But what Cam Calhoun brings, he brings that other energy. He brings that I'm not dressed like a choir boy when I come to the field type energy. He brings that energy. He's going to hit you in the mouth, and he's a talker. He's one of them raw guys. One of them Energizer Bunny, gonna thump you every time he touches you type stuff. And that's something that is also good, especially having as many young, talented DBs as we have in our corner room. They get all these different great veteran leaders about how to play football. That's gonna do nothing but sharpen their game and their craft for future NFL or for future Alabama football games.
Yeah, and not only that, that's good for when you have to go on the road to Georgia, UGA. You got to go on the road to Auburn. You want confidence. You don't want guys that are like, how many times have we gone in with our tail tucked between our legs in Auburn and lost, Matt, over recent years because we didn't play like the confident Bama team that we had been all year. We go to Auburn and tuck our tail. Like,
right.
We always end up in dog. It's time for us to go to Auburn and blow them out. Like, we've been in too many dog fights with subpar Auburn teams. I don't care if the Iron Bowl. I don't care if they say all bets are off. Dude, we're Alabama. We're better. We have a better roster, better staff. There's zero reason why Auburn should be hanging in the game with us. And I think this is going to be the year that we're going to prove that they really don't belong on the field with us. This year, I don't care what they got. I think we're going to go in there and thump them. I'm just – the teams that have gone to Auburn and thumped them have been teams that ended up winning the national championship.
Now you don't want to beat them too bad, Chris. They'll run to the Big 12.
No, I want them to. I only want them in our conference. I'm sorry.
Whoa, wait. Is New Mexico State out there though? Mexico State's out that way, you know. Auburn Tigers don't want to mess with them.
Oh man, but yeah, to your point, Chris, we gotta have. I think I mentioned last week. We just got to get back to being road dominant, and yes. Cam Calhoun brings that energy, that tenacity, that mindset of just being dominant. Listen, I don't care where we at. We can be in the parking lot.
Yeah, it is.
Back behind the stadium, wherever. I'm bringing this heat. So, and I think that's going to be, help so many of the younger guys so many of the veterans on the team who know that I need to have that type of fire. I need to have that type of dog. Because listen, I think if Cam Calhoun gets 3 picks this year, I think he could easily maybe try to go to the next level. What are y'all thoughts?
I think he's so young. I think he's gonna stay 2 years.
He's sophomore, so
he got to make one more year regardless.
Well, no, this is third year. But I think
he's a redshirt sophomore.
He's a redshirt sophomore.
This is third year, but I think he probably gonna stay 2 because I think he gonna want to, have it 1 year by itself. Because he and Dijon Lee in 26, that's gonna be. Or then you got a guy like Edmonds. Edmonds ain't coming to sit down, dude. Edmonds is ready right now, dude. He's ready.
Chuck McDonald,
Zion Gibson. Those boys ain't coming to sit on no bench, man. They coming to play.
And one thing I like about Alabama and Mo Linguist, they gonna play you. If you're good enough, you're getting in that rotation. You're gonna see the field. You gonna look how many freshmen played last year. Mbakwe, Brown, Jones. I mean, we rotate a lot of guys, and I think these guys see Morgan, like I'm able to get on the field regardless and get some playing time under DeBoer, Womack, and company. They're all about getting reps, getting experience, and versatility. So I'm excited. It's one name that we didn't bring up. What about the running back that transferred from
Jalen Washington?
Jalen Washington. Can you go in on this goddamn?
Jalen.
Oh yeah, he to me is a bowling ball type of running back. I like him. He has burst. I'm trying to. He's similar to I would guess Mark Ingram. Chris, would you compare him to out of recent Alabama backs? He's very explosive once he gets to the hole. No diddy, but he's the guy that can hit the home run. He's a 3-down back. But you gotta love him though. Big pickup. He definitely brings depth, if nothing else.
Is he a change of pace guy? What was he known for coming out of where he
home run hitter?
Yeah, home run hitter.
Yeah,
he's a home run hitter.
Okay.
Stick his foot in the ground and go type of one cut.
Yeah, he's a one cut back. Yeah.
Hey Matt, you know what though?
Yeah.
Y'all know though, Lou and Dan. It's like I don't think people think that we're stockpiling, but I don't think that's what it is, man. If you look at,
really, we are, but we're stockpiling experience and depth. You gotta look.
And the reason being because you look last year, man. Look how long the playoffs was last year. Playoffs was long, man. That was a grind. Notre Dame was beat up by the time they got to Ohio State in the championship game. Penn State was beat up like
everybody was.
Dude, that's a long grind. And you got to have depth, man. Like with the way the playoffs are set now. You can't just depend on your 22. You gotta be three deep at some positions. O-line, you gotta have at least 12 guys that can go. 8 to 12 guys that can go.
Them old Saban teams was Saban teams.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes the team would come in and you'd be like, whoa.
Matt and Chris, even when y'all played, y'all rotated a lot of guys, man. Even when y'all played,
we rotated a whole, especially that D line. Well, that year before Matt got there, when we had Jared Johnson,
it was crazy.
Who was it? Jared Kenny King, Moorhead, Oldham, Barry, Childress, Dominic
Monroe, Aries Monroe. You had a lot of guys,
man. Like we had everybody, man. We were like 10 deep up front, but all those guys played. You got to be deep, man, if you're gonna win the national championship, because at some point you don't want to have be short somewhere and it's gonna get exposed, man. It's gonna get exposed, and that's why I say people who just hang their hat on the Ty Simpson train, like it's more than Ty. All 3 quarterbacks got to be ready, man. All 3 quarterbacks have to be ready. All 5-6 backs we have to be ready. All those receivers we have to be ready. And now we need to build more depth on the O-line, Lou. We need to build. We need to find who's gonna be that next tackle that's gonna step in.
Right now, it's Allen. Right now, he's the third guy, the swing guy.
And now we need to develop that 4th guy, which may be Lloyd.
And probably Lloyd or Carroll, either one.
No, you got to have 4 or 5 tackles ready, man. You got to have 6, 7 interior guys ready. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to develop depth, and that's what's gonna be so key about this fall camp. I think defensive line, we're there. Linebacker, we're getting there. We got to find some pass rushers. We got to identify those guys who are going to rush the passer. But secondary, y'all, we're loaded, man. We're fine in the secondary. Even if Mbakwe has
scary.
We're scary loaded.
Scary.
Number one secondary in the country, man. Hands down. I wouldn't trade our secondary with nobody.
I wouldn't trade our secondary for any NFL secondary.
I wouldn't trade our.
Right.
I wouldn't trade.
I mean, look at the depth. Not just secondary. You look at D line and running back. Those three positions, we are solid from the top spot to the last spot. Very solid.
And this last thing before we go to the next topic, that's the thing that people don't realize. Like when Pro Football Focus did their grades and everybody does their grades, they base it off of individual performances. What we're doing here is we're taking, okay, they might have the best, safeties, but they don't have no corners, and they have a shitty defensive line, and their linebackers are soft. Why we're saying Alabama's got the best secondary in the nation is because they got the best supporting group in the nation. We get a pass rush. I don't think anybody realizes how deadly, because we've had good secondaries, but not everybody in the secondary has been a ball hawk. Everybody in this secondary is a ball hawk. You get a pass rush, I'm telling you what, they're going to need a turnover couch for how many we're going to get this season.
Yes, like who do y'all think is going to be that guy? Lou and I were talking the other day. He thinks Justin Hill. I agree. Justin Hill is going to be one of them. Is this
going to be the guy?
is this the year that you see a Pierre?
Yeah,
because I don't think Rousseau is. I think he's I don't think he's more of a pass rush. I think he's just overall
gets to run and
he's just a defensive weapon. He likes weapon.
But going after that quarterback though, man, like don't be surprised you see you got Noah Carter on third downs. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that we're gonna somebody's gonna step up, man, because we missed Quindarius Robinson once he got hurt last year after the fifth game of the year. We missed that pass rush. We missed it. We really missed it. And he was the one injury that really kind of hurt us. Because he didn't play that Vandy game, did he? Or was it when he got hurt?
I don't think he played Vandy. I don't think.
Lou, you highlight Nick Saban Jr.'s comment about Kelby Collins. I want to get y'all thoughts.
Yeah, I did.
Him. Oh, you did?
Yeah, we'll do that at the end of the show.
Okay, cool.
We'll get all the questions at the end of the show.
Okay, cool, perfect. So guys, you see, we can go on and on with my brothers here on the Avengers on Final Whistle. We can just talk about Bama football. But let's get to our next topic. But before we get to our next topic, let's get to our next sponsor, which is the Title Towel at wetwillsports.com. Get you an amazing crimson and white title towel at wetwillsports.com. Use the promo code STANDARD. Use the promo code standard and get you an amazing crimson and white title towel so you can be ready and roll tide, have your towels on the ground as well as your boots on the ground. You like that one? I figured Chris would like that one. Chris, I got a smile. Chris like that one. Let's go. So, guys, speaking of the defense, I know we alluded to, Cam Calhoun, the secondary, Dijon Lee, Chuck McDonald, some linebackers. Let's talk about across the nation. Who do you think has the nation's top linebacker duo? And I'm going to start with Lou because Lou is like our defensive analyst, our defensive coordinator when it comes to certain things on, around the college football realm or what other teams have loaded. So, Lou, are you talking about just mainly like inside and outside?
Inside linebackers. Inside linebackers.
Okay, cool. Lou, the floor is yours.
I'll go pretty fast here. I base this off of statistics and who they got around him. Texas is going to come in first because, in my opinion, they got the best linebacker in the nation, Anthony Hill Jr. That kid's an absolute monster. He's gonna wreak havoc this season in the SEC. kind of excited to see what he does. I'm a fan of ballers, and that kid is definitely one. Plus, Texas is returning some dudes on there. They got one hell of a pass rush, and that's going to make his job even easier. Colin Sexton in year 2, that's just going to be that's going to be a very impressive defense to watch out for. Now, my number 2 linebacker duo is probably gonna have to be Alabama's, just because it's going to be interesting to see what these linebackers do in year 2 of this Kane Womack scheme. Because as everybody's alluded to, recruits, other coaches, these players, that this is a defense geared for linebackers to succeed. We saw last year Jahad Campbell, first-round pick, led the nation in individual stops. So this defense is definitely wide open. And we got 3 prime candidates, as well as we got some young guys that are hoping to step up. And that's why I think, personally, Alabama's got the second best inside-out linebacker room in the nation. And third, I'm going to have to give it to LSU. Now, this is based off of the fact that they got 2 absolute freaks in nature that are running there in the middle linebacker crew. Harold Perkins, if he comes back off the knee injury, we already, as Alabama fans, we know what he's done to us. That dude is lethal in space, plus the Meeks dude showed up last season when he went down, and they got a couple other guys that played very well against the run. So I think that rounds out my top 3. I'm not going to give anybody not necessarily some love out of the SEC, although I will say Clemson. I hate to say it, Clemson's going to have a defense this year. Clemson will have a defense. They're my honorable mention.
Chris, the floor is yours. Who you think's got a top linebacker duo?
Well, Texas getting all that hype, man. They all right. They solid. They get all that hype, but man, it's hard to beat what LSU's doing with Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins, man. That's nasty. Like them dudes, just being honest, I hate LSU more than the next person, but those guys are like, if Harold Perkins can get back to his 2023 form, it's gonna be scary for a lot of folks, man. If he can get back to that form right there. Then you got Georgia, man. Georgia has some good ones, man. Raylan Wilson, Chris Cole, CJ Allen, like. Come on, man. When has Kirby not had linebackers? You know what I'm saying? So it'll be disrespectful not to put Georgia in there. Just being real. It'll be disrespectful. I like our room. You know what I'm saying? If Lawson comes back with no lingering issues to that knee, he can get back to the Lawson that he was becoming. I think Lawson, Hillgreen, and Jefferson would be a nice trio. But right now it's kind of hard to go against what LSU and Georgia is doing. I think Texas had some experience, but they're hyping it off off one guy. I mean, even Sarkisian's son is getting some reps at linebacker. But I just think that they just getting that hype because of Arch Manning. It's just the hype. You get what I'm saying? Texas is hype every year. So you got to show me. But they haven't won nothing. So you still got to show me. But LSU and Georgia, I'd say right now, are the front runners.
Damn, James, run us out on this topic.
Definitely. You got to start with LSU at 1. Whit Weeks, Harold Perkins, no doubt. Both of them are high up on the draft board at the linebacker position. You got Georgia, CJ Allen, Raylan Wilson. Both guys run sub 4.6 40s. So they're both. I don't know if Raylan Wilson is eligible, but I know CJ Allen. He's been projected. Second, maybe the end of the first round. You got Alabama, definitely, with Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson coming back. That was tremendous, big. So, you got those 3. But if I'm going to go outside of the SEC, you got to like what Ohio State has in Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. That's a very formidable duo. But we're just talking inside linebackers.
Clemson and Notre Dame, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, with Notre Dame, you got Drake Bowen. Drake. What's his name? Drake Bowen. That's his name. Yeah, but who else? Notre Dame.
You got Remo, whatever his name is.
You got Clemson. You got Sam Brown and the other one. Yeah, that's a very good one.
Carter.
Yeah, but you got Barrett Carter. But then with Texas, you got Anthony. But then Maurice Blackwell is pretty solid. But they don't compare to any of the three I just named.
I don't have anything to add. I mean, obviously, like Chris said, Texas is going to get all the hype. That's what they do. Simmons is legit. They got some heels nice.
Yeah, Simmons is actually outside linebacker though.
Playing true. They're really kind of like two different type of players, Justin Jefferson and Perkins. I think Jefferson is more of a third down type of guy right now who can be an every down guy, but Perkins, like this, he's gonna make money just off his pass rush ability. So there it's kind of like a different type of comparison.
Yeah, Perkins still, going into year 3 or 4 for him. He still kind of struggles against the run.
This year 3.
So yeah, and LSU still doesn't, he just wasn't a fit for the LSU defense. Imagine him at the wolf position at Alabama.
Problems.
Yeah.
Perkins different, man.
He just out of place in LSU's defense.
Just like most of their defense when they playing a running quarterback, aka Jalen Milroe. It's a little jokey joke, guys. I'm trying to liven it up. Nobody going for my jokes, man. It's a tough day tonight. But yeah, give us your thoughts on this topic. We talked about Clemson, LSU, Texas, Georgia, Bama, Notre Dame. We got some loaded guys. I know this is random, but Alabama starts off with Florida State. What do you think happens if LSU beats Clemson in Del Valle week 1?
Oh man, you're gonna have to hear
the hype.
Yeah, they're gonna be. You ain't gonna be able to stand them for a while.
Or what if Clemson beats LSU?
They're gonna be expected, Yeah.
I expect Clemson to be one of the teams that end up in at least that quarterfinal, semifinal round. They're gonna be one of them last 4 to 8 left. I think Clemson is gonna be right there. If LSU beats Clemson in Death Valley, that's gonna send a strong message.
Yeah,
but because Clemson is supposedly supposed to be the team outside the SEC.
Listen. I'm gonna tell you something right now. There's 2 boys from Alabama that are going to absolutely eat that LSU offensive line.
Peter Woods.
In that game. And TJ Parker.
I'm
telling you.
2 I wanted in
that'll be the only time you'll ever hear me saying that Clemson's going to win the damn football game.
Right, and LSU replacing their entire offensive line.
Right.
Clemson has a top man. I say one of the top 3 to 5 defenses returning in college football. Their return rate for starters. That's why they're getting hyped to be in national championship conversation because of what they're returning. And then we've got named Woodass, another linebacker that got nasty little linebacker.
Who?
Woodass for Clemson.
Oh yeah.
Like they got some guys, man. They got some dudes, man. I ain't even gonna flex. I think they're gonna be a problem for the ACC, and hopefully, a team like Miami can throw a monkey wrench in there because it's about time for Miami crystal ball to show up.
They've been saying that for the past 5 years.
Everybody thought last year.
As long as they've been saying that about Florida State.
Yeah. My thing with Miami, I think you're gonna take a big drop off from Ward to Carson Beck, in my opinion.
I think they're gonna be solid, man, because it's not gonna be all that. Miami is better. Y'all notice when they're flying under the radar. When they get all that hype, that's when they choke. But when folks leave them alone and not expecting much out of them, that's when it's kind of like Florida. Same thing with Florida.
Still true.
Same thing with Florida. That's my sleeper. I think Florida's gonna be better.
Yeah.
Speaking of Florida, so guys, you see, we're getting close to football. We're so excited because I think we're 76 days away from kickoff. So let us know your thoughts on this topic and other topics. We'll get to the chat here shortly. But guys, let's talk about big recruiting weekend. We were talking about quarterbacks, but Dan, you kind of, I asked you about Theala, the big time recruit, our former Iowa State commit, who's coming to Alabama. Can you just kind of talk about him being a commitment, what type of player it is, and talk about kind of the journey and him making this decision to commit to the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, it didn't go as quite like I planned it, because I thought that he would schedule an official visit, then flip his commitment. But I guess, he got away, from the Iowa State visit, and he got to the Elite 11, and he felt that, okay, I guess he gave the call to notify the Iowa State coaching staff of how he was feeling and that he was going to get out of the commitment. I guess he decided to go ahead and make the move, because Alabama is still evaluating quarterbacks at the position. They had Matt Caddell on campus, and they had the guy from Hawaii, Kawa, from Hawaii, coming in this weekend for an official visit. And Theala definitely going to come in this weekend for an official visit. But I wouldn't rule out Alabama being done at the quarterback position in this class.
I saw they offered Bryson Beaver.
Yes.
Big time quarterback out of California. You mentioned that Kawhi from Utah is coming to
Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, from Hawaii. And Patowski potentially. So you're saying you think possibly a second commitment can come from one of those, if possible?
Yes. There is a scenario where Alabama could lose two quarterbacks this season. Let's say, Ty Simpson has a great year, which could happen, and he goes to the NFL. Keelan Russell, is understood that he's going to be, the quarterback in waiting. So you think Austin Mack is going to stay around? So there could be a situation where, we lose Ty and lose Austin Mack. Or vice versa, say Austin Mack wins the job. You think Keelan Russell going to stand around? So there's a situation where Alabama, could only be with one quarterback, scholarship quarterback. And so they are definitely open to taking two. And the thing about, I'm gonna say, that how great this staff is at evaluating talent. They're not just offering guys, They're not just offering these little 3-star guys. These guys are Elite 11 finalists, every one of them. So that tells you the eye that this staff has when it comes to the quarterback position. And they've been patient with guys. They want to see guys throw before they, make a push for them. They bring guys in, look at them, get eyes on, let them throw for the staff and work out, and determine whether or not, they're going to pursue them. So that's the same thing happened with the 27 quarterback. They got him on campus this past weekend. He worked out for the staff, Trent Seaborn. And they said, hey, we like this guy. So, this staff has done an excellent job of evaluating the quarterback position.
Now, can you talk about our recruiting weekend this past weekend? The names that were there, and highlight, kind of give us a big preview of the recruits coming in this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend was, we'll say, the slower weekend, because we didn't have the double-digit official visitors like we had on all the other weekends, but we did have a big name on campus, and that was Brandon Arrington. We got him in, 5-star cornerback. We got him in, talked to him, and unfortunately, yesterday or this morning, he put out, it was last night, right? He put out that he was down to his final two, which was Oregon and Texas A&M. Alabama is set at the cornerback position. They still would take 3. I think that's the number they're looking at. But you don't want to pay the money. Especially with revenue sharing going on, you don't want to pay the money that a Brandon Arrington would command. As a third cornerback in this class. You already have Zion Gibson, you have Jordan Edmonds, who they are very satisfied with. So do you take another third star? It's only so much money you can allocate to a position. So, maybe it was a mutual decision. But also we had a guy we had that I think we made a little ground on was Wilson Zaire, 5-star offensive tackle out of Raven Gap, Naguchi School in Raven Gap, Georgia. He's a guy that the staff looked at. They liked his size. He's roughly 6'7", 290 plus pounds. He has a mean streak. He was a former teammate of Marshall Pritchett. So my understanding is that he's taking the time away, from the official visit. He's going back to Germany for a couple of weeks, collect his mind and see what he wants to do. He had a brother at University of Auburn, who I think is the top competition at this time. Georgia is also a team that's looking at him, but I think the decision will come down to Alabama and Auburn. So that's the one to keep an eye
on. Now let's talk about this week's big recruiting weekend. I think it's the last recruit weekend for a lot of in-state guys before the dead period. I think you got a lot of big-time commitments coming in the next couple of days, I think next week. Can you just mention the names first of who's officially visiting and some commitment dates that we probably need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, definitely. Start with Xavier Crowell. I think he's announcing on the 19th. 5-star running back, number 2 overall running back, but he's been from the get-go Alabama's number 1 target at the running back position. So Alabama's they're open to taking 2 running backs if they're the right running back, but definitely starts with they won't take any other running backs till Xavier Crowell makes his decision, which I expect to be Alabama. We got Cedarian Morgan, who is wide receiver number 1 in this class. Alabama's bringing him in this weekend. I like where Alabama sits with Cedarian Morgan. He's going to be a big pickup. Alabama's looking to sign 2 wide receivers. I think that's a hard number, 2 wide receivers in this class. Also, we just had Brian Williams on campus, and that's another guy that's expected to make a decision. I think he's set for July the 1st to make a decision. I like where Alabama sits with him. So, you start with those 2 at wide receiver position. But it's kind of hard, no. But you also got Owen Cabell coming in this weekend, another 6'3" long receiver to Alabama. He worked out for the Alabama staff, coming back for an official visit this weekend. The staff is really high on him. So we'll see how it works out with that. Anthony Tank Jones, big in-state target. He has the ability to play the edge. So whether it's the bandit or the wolf position, you don't know. He's 6'3" right now, 250. So probably bandit, probably the position we'll be looking out for him right now. But several others on campus, but those are the ones we're definitely going to be watching. Number 1 tight end target, Matt Sutter, coming in this weekend with the decision looming. Alabama was fortunate enough to get him in for the last visit. And if Alabama impresses, I think that's a guy that they could get in, but he was always Alabama's number 1 target from the get-go. And Alabama was expressed that to him. And he's a guy that I like where Alabama sits at as well.
Appreciate it. Chris, Lou, anything you want to add regarding, either position groups or guys you're kind of looking out for? And then, this is what I want to ask. Trish Keys, it was a little bit of drama coming out with him today. I guess you're supposed to go on an official visit in the fall. I mean, this week, today, I believe. And the news report broke that he's no longer going. Then he tweeted out saying that Alabama told him not to come. I just heard a report allegedly that Alabama wants him to come visit during the football season. Can you kind of give us a summary of the most insider information that you know regarding this whole Trish Keys saga or drama? I mean, we know he signed this big Adidas deal, so he's probably either going to Miami, my guess, or A&M because they're Adidas contract.
That's not necessarily the case. The only thing with that deal is that you're required to wear Adidas off the field. You know, okay. So there's a situation where he can go to a Nike school. You know, who he signed with, that doesn't matter. It just is a requirement that he wears Adidas off the field. So, but as far as that situation goes, I think Alabama is very, very comfortable and happy. You know, like I said, it's a hard number at you know, the wide receiver is 2, you know, so, you know, I think they like where they sit with their targets, and, you know, they're not willing to allocate the resources that they need to bring in another guy as a third receiver, that especially if it commands the numbers. You know, if you're in different ballparks with the numbers that you're asking that we're willing to give, you know, why waste time? So I think that was a situation where Alabama, he was supposed to come in actually for a midweek visit. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but you know, he didn't want to come on the weekend, or he couldn't, or whatever, this weekend, which is a big recruit weekend. So, you know, Alabama just didn't really want to waste their time midweek. You know, we got a big recruiting weekend coming up this weekend, so we're gonna spend time focusing on guys that, you know, we actually looking towards locking up in this class. So that's the situation there.
Reading the tea leaves, man, it's just kind of like just reading it. It just has to be that Alabama is comfortable with the targets that they have, and the fact that they're not going to go over that hard number with that money situation. They're not going to go over, because I'm like, so that you know, Bama's not desperate to be paying that type of money to a receiver. What his asking price is. I heard his asking price is pretty substantial, and Bama is like, man, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
Bama is, because you think about it, you got another year around Williams after this year. You got you got Brooks.
Horton.
Okay. You got I think Horton, yeah, either or. But you got Derek Meadows that you just signed last year, 6'5" guy. Then if you get Morgan
Brooks.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the same type of mold of receivers, you got Meadows, and then you about to have Morgan. So it's not really a need for a Keys type. You're not willing to spend that type of money for a Keys type when you got two receivers already on campus that can do what he does. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that Bama is kind of dead set on, you know, hey, we're gonna take in 2. It's gonna be the right 2. Morgan's one of them, and this is why I feel that I wish we would have still been in on Boobie Feaster. But his situation may be the same way.
We still are, but yeah, like you say, Chris.
What about
at what expense? You know, so yeah, so you know, I think, you know, it's a situation where Tristan Keys may have slid down the board behind Boobie Feaster. You know,
Dan, I know named Kamari Brooks. He's got a big commit on the 23rd of June. It's coming down between Georgia and Alabama. What is your take on, you know, where you think he's going to end up? It means a Georgia kid, so I'm suspecting it's probably
he's from Bogart. He's from Bogart, which is a rock's throw to Tuscaloosa. It's like Northport and Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, he attends North Dakota. North Dakota is not necessarily a Georgia feeder school. You know, Tennessee had some luck there. Clemson had some luck there. But let me say this. You know, Alabama has a very good chance, and I think the guy's still torn in between what school he's gonna make a decision for. You know, but Alabama actually has a puncher's chance, which is really like, and understanding, you know, that he's not doing any interviews, so he's not talking to anyone until he makes the decision, which is really a good sign for Alabama. You know, so I could see it going either way, but I would definitely not be surprised if he chooses Alabama. You know, he's close with a lot of the guys on campus, even some of the guys in the class. Kamari Matthew, one of them. You know, he's a two-sport athlete, very good on the basketball court. So just like Kamari Matthews, he's good friends with Xavier Griffin, who is another guy that I like where Alabama sits with. So, you know, it comes down to Alabama and Georgia. So Georgia's going to try to do everything they can to keep them in state. But believe me, you know, I would not be surprised one bit if he was to make a decision for Alabama. So that's one we'll be watching closely, and I'll try to see what I can dig up a little closer to his decision time. But right now, I can see it going either way.
Lou, you got any questions for our lead recruit analyst?
No, Dan hit it on the head, man.
Hit it on the head. Pause.
He hit it on the
head. So, guys, let's get to our amazing chat. We know we got some good comments, questions, and answers from our chat, guys. So let's get to it. Kennedy says, what do y'all think about Proctor being projected as the number 2 draft pick? It's early in projections, but I think he needs to have a big time year and the offensive tackle position to kind of solidify him being tackle number 1 off the board. Guys, anything y'all want to add?
I agree.
Well, definitely it depends on what team picking and their need, but definitely, if a team usually picking that high, they probably already have their franchise quarterback that's young or something. We'll see, but definitely I can see, a situation where he goes top 5 at least. He has the measurables, and that's what the NFL, love. You think about a guy like Eric Fisher. He didn't tear it up in college, but you think about, his measurables and team needs, and look, he turned out to be a franchise tackle. So teams are gonna draft according to their needs, but I can see a situation where a team has a quarterback. Hey, we need a franchise tackle to protect protect the blind side of our investment. So yeah, I can see a scenario where he goes number 2 overall.
Chris, Lou, anything you want to add on this? I just think, like Luke said, he just gotta have a good season, man. I think he'll be fine. I think the way he improved, if he improves on his sophomore year, on his junior year, the way he improved off his freshman year, going into his sophomore year, he makes that jump again. He'll easily be a top, probably maybe have a chance to be top overall pick. Depends on who's picking.
I'm gonna tell you the games he needs to ball out against: Georgia, LSU, Tennessee playoffs. Probably end up maybe playing Clemson. If he has a good showing versus Clemson or something like that, he easily be number 2 pick.
Yeah, in the Iron Bowl.
Iron Bowl is phenomenal. People won't hold against what happened. All the funky stuff that happens in Jordan.
All that voodoo.
Yeah, they don't hold that game against you.
Eric D says, you're saying that Calhoun is the Tony Brown of the secondary. Me personally, I don't think there can never be a Tony Brown, but I'm saying I think we're saying he brings the juice in the secondary. Or Lou, you want to add? You're on mute, Lou.
He brings like Brian Branch type of energy, that grit.
I like that.
That low key, I'm gonna mess you up type stuff.
Yeah.
So no, not Tony. Tony Brown was an icon and a unicorn in himself.
Yeah. I love Tony.
Yeah, you got a little crazy Tony.
Crazy Tony. Nick Saban Jr. says, what do y'all think about Kelby Collins?
I think he'll be better.
Like you said, same thing with Draylen Washington. You're already deep at position, but he definitely brings experience and depth. So he's a much needed addition to the defensive line room, and I like him as an interior pass rusher. You know, at the bandit position, you know, 3, 4, 5 technique. He's a guy that can play all of those, and I think he can play them at a high level.
Hey, question. Going back to the last question. What did Hunter Renfrow lie about?
That's Tony. Tony had some story in his head that
he lied.
I don't know, crazy Tony.
That's all it take to motivate him. You say, hey man, the guy said this.
I'm gonna tell you what it was. I'm gonna tell you what it was. It was that pick play they didn't call on that touchdown game when the year before. It was that pick play because the boy clearly went down and moved Marlon Humphrey out the way. The legal screen that they didn't call, we got holes, man. I don't care. Nobody said it should have been a pass interference, and the Clemson should have had to kick the field goal to tie this in overtime.
Well, I thought we won the game when Jalen Hurts scored a touchdown.
Then the defense is
and I don't know why Pruitt stayed covered two the whole time. I'm like, bruh, get out of that. Send some pressure or something.
Especially when the year before we brought in fresh guys in the second half to, you know, that's when we started playing more, you know, Deshaun Hand and Rashawn Evans in the second half. But you know, Jonathan Allen said at the end of that game they played 90-something snaps. You know, that's ridiculous, man. You know, that's ridiculous. You can find some young guys to come in and, you know, rush off the edge in those situations. You know they're passing. So, you know, we should have did a better job of rotating guys in the second half.
And we were gashing them with Bo. Bo was running all over him. Then he got nicked up, and I was just like, oh.
A lot of things went wrong,
okay. We need an MA-rated final whistle show. We do. We probably have that. Van Ellis. Shouts out to Van Ellis. Whose seat is more hot, Freeze or Kelly? Ooh,
that's easy.
I say Freeze.
Freeze, easily.
No, both of them in the same position. Freeze, he can keep lying to the Auburn fan base because, you know, they're so gullible and, you know,
they're delusional.
Yeah, you think about his buyout. So they will put up with him for at least 2 more seasons. Let me say that if Brian Kelly was to win 5 games at LSU, he is out of there. You know, he go 5-7, he is gone quickly. I think Hugh Freeze can survive another 6-win season. Definitely. You know, just because the situation in Auburn is, you know, he set the bar low anyway. You know what I'm saying? You won 5 games, you win 6 games this year, you're improved, you're bowl eligible. You know, so you showed improvement. You go to a bowl. But if Brian Kelly wins 6 games, you know, he's gone. He's gone to LSU. LSU not going to put up with it.
But let me tell you though,
they're going to have Lincoln Riley.
Bama goes into Auburn and beat Auburn again and Freeze like another 6-7 win year.
They'll keep him for another year.
I don't know, man.
Brian Kelly be gone fast.
Well, Brian Kelly win 9 games in Notre Dame. He still could lose in Tuscaloosa and be fine.
Hey, listen. Do they play each other this year? That could be the hot seat game, the hot seat bowl.
LSU gonna spank Auburn again, man. If they play, I don't know.
The loser of that game is definitely probably out. Dead man walking.
Yeah.
Chris, I disagree with you. I think Auburn gonna get him.
Who? LSU? No.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
The game got to be. They got to understand who that had the voodoo wife. Gus Malzahn had the voodoo wife.
But listen, you look at the last few LSU coaches. You know they were very. How I say animated coaches. You know, you think about Nick Saban, Les Miles, Ed Orgeron, Brian Kelly. He's more reserved. That's not a fit at LSU. You know, Brian Kelly needs to start doing something, start eating grass or doing something extreme. You know, then you know the people, the crazy Cajuns down there, they'll relate to him a little better. But I think he doesn't fit the LSU culture. So I don't think, you know, Brian Kelly was ever the guy for LSU.
He's a placeholder.
Yeah.
Auburn might be good this year because they have a soft-ass schedule.
Really weak schedule.
Like, I mean a soft-ass schedule. They don't play Georgia. They don't play Tennessee. They don't play Texas. They don't play South Carolina. Like they got an Ohio State type of schedule. That's a cupcake for those of you who ain't familiar.
Best D line in the SEC.
I'm gonna say probably D.
D.
You probably forgot the big D, Matt.
Yeah.
Caught the tick.
Who do you think got the best D line in the SEC?
This is the best line.
Let's do the best D line and the best offensive line. Yeah.
Best D line, Alabama.
Chris?
Alabama.
What about O line?
Alabama.
No, it's kind of hard to go against. You gotta understand O line. You got arguably top tackle in the country, right? In Caden Proctor. You got arguably top center in the country, right?
Yeah.
And you got arguably the top guard in the country.
Mm-hmm.
You got 3 of the top 5 guys on your O line that are top of their position. How can you argue against that?
Yeah, good point.
Now, and D line, just being real, like who really is bringing? Is Texas D line supposed to be coming back? They lost some dogs in the middle, y'all remember?
They lost a lot of guys. Yeah, they lost Vernon Broughton. And who was the other one?
No, the big tackle they had. That joker was an animal.
Yeah, he was an animal.
But Murphy, was it Murphy?
Murphy.
Yeah.
And the other boy?
No.
Vernon Broughton, he lost him.
But
so they lost a lot of guys, you know. So,
but I don't know what Georgia has. I mean, Mikael Williams gone, right?
I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, Alabama's going to have the offensive line. But if we're going to say the defensive line, I'm going to need to see a lot of production. Because last season, it's across the board. In no way, shape, or form should our linebacking group, our inside linebackers, outsack our defensive line or our outside linebackers. That should never happen. That should never happen. And it did last season. Now, I understand we had some G's there, but our defensive line has to actually get the quarterback down on the damn ground.
Overton just get half those sacks.
But he's got to do it. We all know he can, but he's actually got to put the pen to paper, cleat to the field. Alabama does potentially have the best defensive line if they can finish.
Hey, but
they got to finish.
It's hard to go against LT Overton, James Smith, Tim Keenan.
Yeah, I'm saying who you gonna name? You know, maybe Florida.
Then you add Kelby Collins. The other big loss for Florida. You add Kelby Collins. You add who else we got? We got Jordan Renault. You got is it Hunter Osborne?
Yeah,
Edric Hill.
No, Hunter Osborne transferred.
Hunter
Osborne transferred.
The other one,
Edric Hill.
Yeah, Jeremiah Beeman.
Beeman. That's what I'm talking about. Jeremiah Beeman, not Hunter Osborne.
Yeah, we got a lot of dudes in there, but I need to see
it. And Vega, that I think gonna end up.
I need to see it.
One plugger.
I need to see it.
And your boy, what's his name? The big swole one. It came from JUCO. Steven
Mbayu.
Yeah.
I heard he was all right.
I just need all of them to get 4 plus sacks across the board, and like almost double-digit tackles for loss.
I think LT Overton might end up. I'm going with. I'm putting a lot on myself.
Let's say 10 sacks from our D line.
No,
our interior D line. Our interior D line.
Way
interior D line.
I think LT
is like 20.
Now interior.
I'm not talking about LT Overton. You expect that, but I'm talking about from our interior D line.
James Smith, Tim Keenan, Jeremiah Beeman, Kelby Collins,
Jordan Renault,
and Edric Hill.
Jordan Renault.
They need to
Jordan Renault's a bandit.
He bandit, yeah.
Those
guys you named Lou, we get 10 sacks from those guys, we be all right.
We easily get.
I need 12. I need 12 for them. That's 2 each.
If Keeley steps up, this is year.
Yeah.
Keely got to unseat Renaud because Renaud is the only defensive player that actually got a penalty for hitting someone in the face last year. That's the first time Bama got a defensive penalty for being too rough with somebody, and that should never happen. Like, Alabama's not the hardest hitting team in the country. That's a problem. They look to exact this year.
Yeah.
We can't let them. I still have a nightmare from Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, Eric D said South Carolina. That's another good one. South Carolina.
Yeah, they got that. They got that man. They got that man. But
yeah, South Carolina's kind of deep too. They had a lot of young guys last year.
I forgot about a good one.
And they got some transfers in too that were pretty damn good.
They always.
I'd say South Carolina and Bama.
Hey, would it be safe to say that the South Carolina road game might be tougher than the Georgia road game?
Definitely,
they're both gonna be tough. But
South
Carolina is a different animal.
I think South Carolina gonna be tougher because
South Carolina gonna be tougher. I think Georgia. If we were to jump out on them again this year, the morale. Yeah, Georgia is like mentally fragile right now. South Carolina, they're gonna be up for it. They're gonna be up for it. They looking to get over the hump. Georgia's just looking not to lose to Bama again. So Georgia's gonna feel the pressure. South Carolina not gonna feel the pressure. It's gonna definitely be tougher.
They might though, Dan. They might, because when we actually play them, we don't play them till October 25th. That's down. That's kind of down the road in the season, as opposed to playing Georgia earlier in the season. South Carolina is going to be feeling that pressure because they're not going to have too many more SEC games to actually prove that they belong in the playoffs. So I
don't think so. Cause South Carolina not going to go into it like that. South Carolina, they know who they are. South Carolina is looking to finally beat Bama, just like Texas was looking. Texas A&M, LSU after all those losses. That's the way South Carolina is going to go into this game. They're going to go into they got this game circled, So I think it's going to be very tough in Columbia this year.
Well, listen, guys, it's going to be exciting. I know one thing: Bama going to have the depth and the talent, and they're going to be hitting all our cylinders to be road dominant. So I'm excited to see what the team's going to look like this year. Guys, we covered a lot of topics. Let's close out the show. And Chris, will you go last and close us out, please, sir? How can they follow you guys? Dan?
Okay, definitely. You can follow me on X at the Final Whistle Dan. You follow me on Instagram, Dan James the 4th. Catch me right here every Tuesday night. Final Whistle, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And thank y'all, everyone in the chat. Shout out to y'all. Y'all be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. I don't know if we mentioned that earlier in the show, but be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. That helps our channel out a lot, and we definitely appreciate that.
Lou?
Well, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Luscion Graves. You can find me on X, 4-row 2, Lush1. I don't know why it's like that, but you can find me on X, always talking Alabama football, silencing some Georgia fans and quietly hating on Auburn. And most importantly, you can find me on Tuesday nights on the Final Whistle Network, on the Final Whistle Show with the greatest freaking cast, talking about the greatest damn team in the world.
And Lou, can you talk about Final Whistle's new Twitter handle?
Oh yeah, and we got a new Twitter handle for everybody on X. It's 456 Final Whistle. Again, that's at 456 the Final Whistle. That's our new X Twitter page. You guys stay tuned for that. We're going to be putting a lot of content out. Dan and I got some recruiting videos. We got some shorts getting ready to be worked on. So y'all just stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming.
Got a lot of stuff coming. Chris, how can they find you? And
you can find me on Facebook at Chris K. James Sr., on Instagram at Final_Whistle_Chris, and you can find me on X at Coach Chris James. And you can find me here every Tuesday night with the crew, and stay alert, guys. You're finally gonna get your wish. Unofficial GMs is on his way.
It is on its way. That's what we're talking about. And Chris, can you close us out on those 2 words we let us talk about as you answer your phone?
Roll
Tide.
Roll.
Bama Blitz.
And we don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
Bama all day.
What's up? B-Town. Damn.